Hello there, Lisa Fitzgibbon here from Project 7 and welcome to our check-in service. So this is where we're going to hook up with our previous headline producers and our alumni from all around the world. We're going to find out where you are, what you're doing, what you're working on, how you're doing it, that kind of thing. Anyone who's been to one of our Project 7 events knows what an intensely challenging and rewarding week it can be, where forever friendships are made and creative connections that last are created. And this is the check-in service. So we're going to try and put everyone together so we can hook you up with your Project 7 kin. And today we're checking in with musician, songwriter, arranger, producer and Project 7 alumni Tim Spencer. Tim started composing when he was just 14, having studied piano from the age of 6. Originally from Taunton in Somerset, his family moved to the Midlands in the 80s, where his love of music developed into a passion. Tim composes for the stage and for television, and he collaborates with a range of artists. His compositions have been performed in schools and theatres in London, and he's had a #1 single in the Nashville Independent Country Music Charts with his song Do You Like It Like That, recorded by Tracy Shield. Tim mostly writes musical theatre, and he has written 3 musicals to date: Berlin, previewed in London's Theatre Royal in Drury Lane, Rising Sun and The Tombstones. He's also written a selection of songs for panto, instrumental albums, hymns and Christmas carols, and has published his very own songbook entitled The Tim Spencer Songbook. Tim is a singing and piano tutor, artistic director of the Virtual Choir, and is an inspirational and motivated music creator, and he's an incredibly talented piano player. How you going, Tim? Nice to see you.
You too, Lisa. How you keeping?
I'm really well. I'm really well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Ticking along in the sunshine.
Sunshine. So tell me, Tim, where are you right now?
I'm in my little studio in Coventry.
Lovely. And what are you working on at the moment? What's your project at the moment?
I'm putting together some piano pieces at the moment and some bits and pieces at the moment. Yeah, just because obviously in lockdown, I consider myself more of a piano player than a singer, really. So kind of working on piano pieces and some virtual pieces with people around, but kind of for myself doing some piano pieces.
As original piano pieces, or are you making arrangements of other songs?
At the minute, I'm doing some writing, so it's my kind of compositions for piano, so that, which is kind of fun, putting some videos together for them. The first one should be out kind of later in the week. So. Fantastic.
So Tim, you've written for the stage, you've written for the telly, you've written Nashville #1s. Which genre do you actually prefer? What's your favourite musical genre?
I'd have to say that if you go for what do I prefer, it's country music rather than musical theatre. But I've done a lot in musical theatre, but not as much in country music, which is not the greatest surprise being based in Coventry.
So then tell me, what's the difference then between writing what you would call a classic country song to writing a song for a musical? What would be the main technical differences that you would...
Musical theatre, you tend to find that the chorus lyrics are never the same, but very often with musical theatre, although the chorus or refrain of the song will be the same musical melody as happens with any other song, with musical theatre you'll tend to find that a lot of the time the lyrics change between choruses in musical theatre, whereas they don't necessarily in normal country music, pop music.
A bit more complicated then as well, because you have to come up with the dialogue, really, don't you?
Yeah, there's obviously dialogue and there's story, but that gives you characters. I mean, obviously, if you work with an artist has a persona that they want to put over. Whereas with a musical theatre, you are writing for 10 personas all in one go. You know, if you've got a musical, you're writing for different characters and the different stories that are taking place in the musical. So you get more playtime with, you know, putting yourself in other people's situations. Whereas if you're writing for an artist, you're dealing with that artist and what they want to put out as a message about themselves. Right?
So then do you end up writing a lot more than what you actually use? Because I know when we're in a recording studio or in a collaboration environment with songwriters, you can come up with a lot of stuff and a lot of things you disregard. You don't end up using them. Is it the same when you're writing for a musical?
It is to a certain extent, because obviously the plot may change. You may suddenly go, well, this actually, would that person do this? Or do I want that moment to happen like that? Because with every story, you have decisions that each character makes that lead them to the next position.
Your Berlin musical we were just talking about, that was performed at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane.
Yeah, we took it
How
for a
was that?
showcase there. It was amazing. It was amazing. We did it up in Coventry, and we did a production up in Coventry, and kind of went, right, let's take it to London and put it on for a showcase and see whether we can persuade London producers and that to do it. And so we took it down to London. We took the Theatre Royal Drury Lane bar for a lunchtime and set it all up. And we had a really useful company came. Gavin McIntosh's people came. We had a lot of people coming. We even had one production company from Germany fly over to see it.
Wow.
Because obviously the subject matter being Berlin.
So what do you do with your musicals then? Do they kind of, like a song that's sitting on the hard drive that you write that doesn't necessarily go somewhere? I find sometimes when I'm writing, I'll bring that material back up and I'll use it for something else, or it evolves somehow. So do you still write? Do you still work on your musicals? Are you still tweaking them? Are you still sort of putting them out there for performance?
I'm still putting them out there for performance. I'm not tweaking them as such, mainly because with all three of them, I've produced them now a couple of times and kind of gone, right, that's kind of where I'm happy with it. If somebody wants to come in and say, Tim, we want to put it in the West End, will you rewrite it because we think that maybe it should do this or that? Then obviously I would turn around and say, yes, please, quite happy to do whatever you want. But at the moment, for me, each of the three projects that I've written are all kind of sat in a place of like, well, it's kind of where I'm satisfied with it. I could go back and tweak it, but I'm not actually sure whether that would do it any good, or, it's a bit like if you could rewrite Imagine 15 more times, would it make it better or worse? If you kept going back and going, have I got it? I don't know whether I've got it. John Lennon obviously had everybody turn around and say, no, you've got it there, John, it's fine.
So, Tim, what's your earliest musical memory?
I was kind of taken aback by my earliest musical memory because it only came back to me very, very late on. I went to see the Neil Sedaka concert about, 6 or 7 years ago at the Symphony Hall. And he played a song that I didn't know I knew, and I had tears running down my face, and I remembered every single word. It was a song called Our Last Song Together, which was on his Tra-La Days Are Over album, which I knew every word to, didn't realise I knew it, and my mum had the album. And I used to apparently sit there with headphones like these on with the record player, listening to that album when I was 3, 4, 5 years old.
Give us a chorus of it.
Oh, it's something like, this will be our last song together. Words can only make us cry. This will be our last song together. There's no other way we can say goodbye.
And there you were sitting there with tears rolling down your eyes.
Yeah.
And so what are you listening to now? What do you listen to just sort of to relax and for fun? What do you listen to?
Oh, unfortunately, I'm one of these people that probably has most of my memories guided by years ago, almost. I was always like that as a kid. Nowadays, Billy Joel's probably my go-to, listen to relax and stuff like that. Garth Brooks, as I mentioned. I'll listen to anything and everything. I just don't go off discovering like I used to, unfortunately. Actually, I do think that the main mediums, iTunes, if you go on Apple iTunes, it's only feeding you the absolute, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran. It's going for the absolute major artists. If you go on YouTube and you start going through all the things on the right-hand side, you start finding artists similar to where you started, and then you start trailing off into new places. But I do think that unless you make an effort, most of the big things are not actually providing you stuff that's really off the beaten track from where you already are.
So, Tim, tell me about your virtual choir.
The virtual choir was just an idea of something to do. For a start, trying to put a choir together is always tricky in the first place, as in getting people in the same room at the same time. So the fact that everybody sat at home or wherever they're sat at the moment and are kind of stuck means that people are kind of bored and actually might do stuff. So the virtual choir I've written quite a few choral songs, that have involved choirs over the years. So I just kind of thought, well, why don't we try and do this recording of this song of mine called Hold Me, Love Me? And it has been kind of interesting because what I've tried to do is set it up so people can learn it remotely with me singing each of the soprano, alto, tenor, and bass parts. Obviously, not in the range of a soprano. I can't do that. But I've made recordings of the backing track, and then recordings with me doing each line, and posted them on Dropbox, so everybody's been able to download and learn them. And then I've just kind of said, can you please record it yourselves with, listening to it on headphones and singing, so that you don't get the backing track, which with voice recorder is perfectly usable.
Yep.
And then take a video of it in another way, singing along to put that in, so you've got a visual. And then the other night we did a Zoom session with it, which actually was kind of interesting, because I thought this has the benefit of maybe going into carnage quite easily because of the delay, and you just don't know how that's going to work. So yeah, we did 2 sessions with the guys that were able to come, which was great, and it actually worked quite well.
If our Project 7 family want to join in, because I've done a couple of vocal recording passes for you. I did the alto and a very low octave below soprano.
It sounded fantastic.
So how do people find this choir, and how do we all jump on it?
It is a public group on Facebook. It's just on Facebook. It's called the Home Virtual Choir. That's all. That's the group anyway.
So what brought you along to Project 7? What was the thing that made you think I want to do this?
Songwriting with people. I sit in this little place on my own very often, and there is not a case of there isn't a scene. Again, I might not be finding it in Coventry, but there isn't particularly a songwriting scene in Coventry where you can get involved. Okay. So that I've got involved with at the moment. I haven't worked in that many of the studios and such forth. So obviously something where you are collaborating and writing new songs every day with producers was just a great something that I love to do, because I spend a lot of my time writing on my own. So it's fantastic to write with other people.
And do you have one of my favourite Project 7 moments from that year is every year we have a party at the end, and you and Harry Osborne and all of us were upstairs in Ian Archer's studio. I think it was the Betty's Boudoir, and you were just DJ piano player, and we just rocked. You rocked the house. The whole hotel was shaking. I mean, that's one of my favourite Project 7 moments ever.
That was fun.
Yeah. Of course, you had a really busy year that year as well, because everyone wanted to work with you. So I had all the artists and all the producers saying, "Oh, can you put Tim in my team? I can really do that." But what's your favourite Project 7 moment? Is there something that sort of stands out for you?
We worked with everybody, and they were so good. Getting to work with Billy and John downstairs, the different rooms were amazing. Every single day you ended up with different songs, because you had a whole heap of different influences, and the songs that we produced over the week were just so different. Every single one of them was like nothing like what I'd done the previous day. The combination of everybody, the atmosphere was fantastic. Obviously for me, I was lucky enough to be in the live band for the last night. Billy doing that song on the last night, I love that song. It still goes through my head every day. It was a fantastic day writing that.
Quick questions I'm going to throw at you. You have to choose one or t'other. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Dog or cat?
Cat.
Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
Lion King or Phantom?
Lion King.
Andrew Lloyd Webber or Tim Minchin?
Tim Minchin.
Football or cricket?
Football.
You don't like either?
No, I love both. So.
Okay, Oasis or Blur?
Blur.
Adele or Amy Winehouse?
Adele.
A Steinway or a Bossendorfer?
Steinway.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Mountain or sea?
Sea.
There you go. Tim Spencer, you're a star. Thank you for checking in with us. And from all of your Project 7 brothers and sisters, we wish you a happy lock-in and every success.
And you too. Hope it goes fantastically down there.
Thanks, Tim. Lots of love.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.
See ya.
For more info and to apply to one of our Project 7 songwriting retreats, visit us at project7.com.